This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Now it's 6 o'clock. For the last 4 decades, boaters say they've had no problems. But just ahead, the change that's causing some people to now avoid Eagle Creek Reservoir. And a new walking and biking path is coming to the northeast side of Indianapolis. We'll tell you the reason why everyone isn't on board with the Johnson Road Trail project. And thousands of people across central Indiana will be hitting the roads this holiday week. We have everything you need to know about the busy 4th of July travel. It is 6 o'clock on your Tuesday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Meredith Barrick. Meteorologist Todd Clausen here with a check at our hot weather. We are well on our way to a heat wave, Todd.
Yeah, we're already there. Yesterday was the 3rd day in a row. We hit 90 degrees. Today, probably going to get there once again. And with the heat and humidity comes some rain chances. But you notice it's only about a 20% chance of an isolated storm as we get into the peak heating of the day. So you really don't have to worry so much about the rain. Just want to point out that there will be the potential of a quick downpour here or there later on this afternoon, but it's really today all about the heat and the humidity. A beautiful sunrise taking place here in Greencastle, and with all that sunshine this morning, these temperatures that are currently in the 70s are going to warm very, very quickly across the area. So the main storm track is to our north. That's where the heavy rainfall stays. Again, it's just an isolated storm that'll flare up in spots across the area later on this afternoon, but heat advisory is posted for a good chunk of northern Indiana. It doesn't include central Indiana as of yet, but Peru over towards Marion, Hartford City, and in the Monticello area, you are under that heat advisory. For heat index values today, that'll be anywhere from 95 to 100 degrees, as actual temperatures today will be climbing up into the low 90s. So take precaution against the heat. Heat is very deadly, kind of sneaks up on you. You don't really think about it, but if you're outside for an extended period of time without some water, it could become very, very serious as you get dehydrated. So make sure you drink that water here throughout the day today. Elena?
All right, some good advice. Thank you, Todd. Here's a look at I-70 at Rural Street, Keystone Avenue. Now, you can see over here in the distance some flashing lights, and that's because we have a crash that's on this ramp to go onto Rural Street, Keystone Avenue. So this is that eastbound I-70 ramp. Now, I just spoke with ISP Dispatch, and they say the good news is no injuries with this crash. Medics just came and checked out people on the scene. Nobody was transported, so that's great news. And also good news, you can see traffic is making its way through. Let's take a look at this area on the map. So you're going to want to use that extra caution if it is part of your drive. The eastbound I-70 ramp to Rural Street, Keystone Avenue. Other than that, no major problems out there on the roadways. You can see traffic flow is moving along just fine. Might be a little bit of a slowdown eastbound I-70 heading into the south split, but other than that, you should be good to go.
Elena, thank you. Breaking overnight, firefighters are investigating 2 fires that happened within blocks of each other on the city's north side. Officials say the first fire started in the 1800 block of North Talbot Street. 3 people were home when the fire started, including a baby. Homeowners were able to put out much of the fire with a garden hose. Then 20 minutes later, IFD says passengers inside an Uber that took a wrong turn spotted a fire on Pennsylvania and alerted homeowners to the fire. 5 people were inside the duplex. No injuries were reported in either fire. Officials say investigators did question a man identified by neighbors as a person of interest. Boaters who use Eagle Creek say they are frustrated with new rules about what kind of watercrafts are allowed out on the reservoir. Our Alyssa Donovan is live at Eagle Creek this morning. Now, Alyssa, this isn't really a change in rules, but more a change in how they're being enforced.
That's right, Meredith. Boaters tell us that in the past few years, they've been allowed to bring their larger boats onto Eagle Creek Reservoir, but suddenly the city is interpreting rules that have been in place for more than 40 years a little bit differently. So boaters tell us that now you might see a few less boats here at Eagle Creek. Boaters tell RTV6 that since the 70s, they've been allowed to take their boats with large motors of more than 10 horsepower into Eagle Creek Reservoir. The only stipulation was that they did not turn on the large motors and used a smaller one instead. That rule is on books and is posted around the waterway, but boaters say now that rule is interpreted a little bit differently. We spoke with one boater who told us he and several others bought smaller motors for their boats about 2 years ago to comply with these rules. Cost them each a couple $1,000s. So this change in enforcement is a little bit frustrating.
When I showed up at the ramp this year with my 6-horse, I was told because I also have a 40-horse engine on my boat that I can't even get on with the kicker horse. And so, needless to say, I wasn't really happy, and neither are my friends, after spending that kind of money trying to comply with their regulation, and now they've cracked down even further.
Now, the Department of Natural Resources released a statement saying it's concerned because if boats are not on the water, the state could lose revenue of fishing license. Now, Indy Parks did respond to our request for a comment, and they said simply that the ordinance states that boats with 10 horsepower or more motors are not allowed on Eagle Creek. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. And here at RTV6, we love working for you. If you have a problem and need help getting answers, contact us at workingforyou@rtv6.com. A new biking and walking path is coming to the northeast side of Indianapolis, even though a city councilor and several neighbors say it is a waste of money. The Johnson Road Trail project will connect the 71st Street Trail and the Fall Creek Greenway. The goal is to make a safer, protected lane for bikers. Larry Riggle, who lives along Johnson Road, says the sidewalks were recently updated and curbs were made ADA accessible. The trail project will undo all that work.
Let's spend the money on keeping the roads in good shape before we replace a good sidewalk with an asphalt trail.
Christine Scales, the city councilor for the district, agrees, saying the project shows the city's, quote, skewed priorities when it comes to spending money on infrastructure while ignoring bigger issues like potholes. We took those frustrations to the Department of Public Works. Director Dan Parker says funding issues are not that simple.
There's a separate line items in the DPW budget for multimodal paths and greenway projects. So it's not affecting our road budget at all. In fact, 80% of the dollars for this project are coming from the federal government.
Federal funding was granted for the project in 2014. Parker reminds residents that you can report potholes to the Mayor's Action Center. That number is 317-327-4622. We have some good news to share this morning. A priceless item that was once lost is now found. Cheryl Brown reached out to RTV6 to let us know someone found an urn containing her son's ashes. That's the same urn that went missing last week while Brown was running errands. Millions of Americans are getting ready to celebrate the red, white, and blue, and AAA is tracking record-breaking travel numbers. Our Aaron Lish is live with when you should avoid hitting the roads. Hey, Aaron.
Good morning. So gas prices are lower this time compared to last year on Independence Day. So plenty of people are taking advantage of that. And tracking the numbers for about 20 years now, AAA says there are some record-breaking numbers, including 41 million Americans driving. There's also an increase in the skies by about 5% with almost 4 million passengers. And then there is a slight increase for trains, cruise ships, and buses with just over 3.5 million people. So if you are hopping in the car, try to do that today because tomorrow is expected to be the worst day for driving. So avoid heading out on Wednesday if possible. What is good news is that there will be no interstate construction here in the Circle City. So we're going to have a little bit more coming up in the next half hour about those major cities like Chicago and what times you should avoid trying to drive in there. But for now, I'll send it back to you in the studio, Meredith.
Aaron, thank you. With the heat we've seen here in central Indiana, first responders teamed up with a retired NBA player to demonstrate just how dangerous the heat inside your car can be.
We can save one life in this country because of this, then I'll take this misery every day for the rest of my life because I'm miserable right now. I don't feel good. I'm hot. I've got a headache. But you know what? It's worth it if a life is saved.
A proposal aimed at preventing hot car deaths has been introduced in the U.S. House. It would require all new cars to include safety systems that detect the presence of a child unknowingly left in a vehicle. And Todd, I don't know if you had a chance to watch Mike Pruitt, John Prine, and Scott Pollard there sitting in that hot car yesterday. It reached temps of more than 100 degrees just after a few minutes. And you have a chart up here to show how hot those temperatures can get in just a matter of minutes.
Yeah, and not only for a child left in a car, obviously, but pets as well. Do not leave your pets in a car. So our high temperature today gets up to about 92 degrees. So we'll pick 90 degrees right now on our thermometer here. And after just 10 minutes, your car is going to feel like 109 degrees. After 20 minutes, minutes, it's going to feel like 119 degrees in there. After 30 minutes, 124 degrees, and after 60 minutes, 133 degrees, and that is deadly heat. So that's why we always emphasize, and as you saw there, the state police, Wayne Township Fire Department, when you deal with heat, it's extremely dangerous when you're outside just in general, but certainly you cannot leave anything in the car. As far as this weather pattern with the heat and humidity, this high pressure area is still down to our south. We're going to continue to pump the heat in here for today and tomorrow before this finally starts to break down a little bit as we head into the weekend. That's going to cool us off slightly, but it's also going to allow better storm chances to return as we head into the 4th of July holiday. More on that coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thank you. Here at RTV6, our Hiring Hoosiers initiative is dedicated to helping you land that job. Just after the break, we're highlighting some of our jobs of the week. We'll be right back.
What he said.
Indiana needs to fill 1 million jobs over the next decade. Hiring Hoosiers is RTV6's contribution to building a workforce our state needs. Today, RTV6's Rafael Sanchez has our weekly look at the positions that are open and ready for you to apply to right now.
This could sound like music to your ears. I'll explain in a moment, but first, Anna Pentenberg with Spherion Staffing. Welcome.
Thank you.
There's a theme here for that first set of jobs. As we begin, let's start right now on the northwest side of Indianapolis, sales team members.
Yes, we are looking for somebody who has a combination of sales and music experience. We have 40 jobs available that could start as early as July 15th. The shifts are either 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. or 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., and that starts at $15.50 an hour.
Let's head out to Hendricks County in Plainfield for an administrative assistant.
Yes, we're looking for somebody with some customer service experience. You'd be helping answer phones, do some basic data entry, and also helping customers. This is Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at $15 an hour.
In Avon, you're looking for warehouse associates.
Yes, we have a project that's coming up with one of our customers. This is July 19th through the July 24th. We need 42 people a day, each day that week. We have shifts either 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and that is $12.50 an hour. It's great for a transition, you know, if you're going from one job to another.
And in this job here, or jobs, you need mail sorters.
Yes, this is in the Park 100 area. We have first, second, and third shifts available. There's a warehouse position, but there's not a ton of heavy lifting involved. And it's also great because it's on the bus line. So pay rates on that are between $11 and $12.50 an hour.
Let's talk about the jobs process. In many cases, people may have to respond either via text or even do an interview via Skype. So you have to be ready to deal with technology.
Yeah, just being open to learning these new processes, even if you haven't done them in the past, is really, it's important to us because it allows the customer to learn a little bit more about you in these instances. You know, if you're doing a video interview, they get to see you, they get to understand what you're really trying to get out of a job versus just looking at you on paper.
And it could be a deal breaker, right? Because if you can't follow instructions and be current with the technology, that may say to the employer that you're not ready for that job.
You bet. Yeah, it's definitely a game changer for some people.
So let's connect with you right now as we look at these jobs that could be game changers for you and your family.
Yes, you can reach us at 317-870-5555, or you can check out our jobs posted at Spherion.com.
Of course, all of the jobs as well on our website, hiringhoosiers.com. And of course, these are the jobs of the week.
Thanks, Rafael and Anna. And you can find all of that information right now on our website, hiringhoosiers.com. That's where you can also find all of our other Hiring Hoosier stories. And be sure to join us tomorrow on Good Morning Indiana as we take a closer look at a camp teaching kids business skills at an early age. Close the camps. That's the message at protests across the U.S. today. Across the country and at the White House, activists will protest what they are calling inhumane conditions at migrant detention centers. It comes a day after lawmakers toured a facility they said was unacceptable. Protesters say they want more members of Congress to witness the situation firsthand. Protesters want Congress to refuse to fund the centers moving forward. This morning, lawmakers are calling for an investigation after the deaths and illnesses in the Punta Cana resort area in the Dominican Republic. So far, at least 10 Americans have died in the last year. Rock musician Rick Springfield even canceled a show set for November on the island out of concern for the safety and well-being of his fans, his band, and crew. The State Department says despite high-profile cases, there has not been an increase in tourist deaths. This morning, the baseball world is mourning the loss of a major leaguer. 27-year-old Tyler Skaggs, a pitcher for the Los Angeles Angels, was found dead in his hotel room in Texas on Monday. Skaggs was in his 7th season in the major leagues. He was found unresponsive in his hotel in Dallas as the team prepared to take on the Texas Rangers. Officials say foul play and suicide are not suspected. Monday's game was canceled, and there's no word if the team will play tonight or not. Incredibly, this year marks 10 years since another Angels pitcher died in the middle of the season. In 2009, Nick Adenhart was killed in a collision with a drunk driver after a game. This morning, the governor of West Virginia has declared a state of emergency for several counties in his state because of flooding. Several communities there are underwater. The state has seen heavy rains recently, and that has pushed rivers over their banks. People are being forced out of their homes, and roads are now impassable. Thankfully, though, there have been no deaths reported. And Todd, here at home, we have hot weather and a possibility for rain, but nothing widespread.
Yeah, you know, we'll have an isolated downpour here or there later on this afternoon. No flooding is expected, and if you do see that downpour, it's not going to linger very long. It'll be a quick downpour, and it'll be on its way. And all those are going to be manufactured by the heat and humidity. So yesterday we got up to 90 degrees. Today we're up to 92, and that's not a huge difference, obviously just 2 degrees. The big difference is, though, the way it's going to feel. Yesterday, we didn't have much in the way of humidity at all. Today, we're going to have a lot of humidity, so that 92 is going to feel closer to 100 degrees, and that is the difference going forward in the day today. Beautiful sunrise in Greencastle here, just a few fair weather clouds. 74 degrees is the current temperature out there. That dew point is at 70 degrees. That's that uncomfortable number for you. And we're at 75 in Richmond, 71 in Bloomington, 75 is the current temperature in Tipton right now. And skies are just partly cloudy across the area. That's the good news. The main storm track as well to our north. It's going right around the core of this very hot air. So when you're in the core of the hot air, you have to manufacture your own thunderstorms with the heat and humidity. And when that happens, it's just going to basically be on a spotty basis. And you see that on TrueCast here. There's nothing really widespread going throughout the afternoon hours. And honestly, some of the lawns could use a quick little downpour here across the air. It'll kind of cool you off a little bit as the clouds start to build, obviously, before the rain can fall. And then by 7:30, a few downpours are still out there. And then as soon as the sun sets, the threat of showers really comes out of the forecast here. And the shower threat or storm threat isn't really the headline today. It's definitely going to be the heat and the humidity. Already by the noon hour, we're up to 87 degrees. We should be in the 90s by about 3 o'clock in the afternoon with our high temperature today getting up to 92 degrees. But let's go over to the heat index values. Here we go, 12:30 this afternoon. So for your lunch hour, we're looking at heat index values, real field temperatures, anywhere between 90 and 95 degrees across the area. Fast forward into the peak heating of the day at 4 o'clock, it's going to feel more like 95 to 100 degrees across the area. So you're thinking about a workout this morning, obviously with the cooler temperatures, better than what it will be this afternoon. Don't pay attention to that 80 over there. That's just showing where there could be an isolated downpour. But heat index values this afternoon as warm as 100 degrees. And then heading into this evening, still at 7:30, heat index values will be in the 90s. Tomorrow's a day very similar to today, so I'm going to jump past that quickly for you to get you to the 4th of July forecast here. 87 degrees, partly cloudy skies, storms possible throughout the day. And I'll show you tomorrow, it's just an isolated downpour like today. Then those showers fade away tomorrow once the sun sets, only to flare back up as we head into Thursday. And you see the coverage on Thursday a little more numerous across the area. So you don't have to cancel those 4th of July plans, but just know there's a little better chance of some isolated storms, and then that storm threat will continue Friday into the weekend as well. Elena?
All right, thank you, Todd. Here's a look over on our east side, I-70 at Rural Street, Keystone Avenue. Now, we just had a crash that was on the ramp, but as you can see, just within the last couple of minutes or so, it has cleared up for your morning drive. And the good news is nobody was injured in that crash. Let's take a look at the map. If you're coming in from no matter where you are, everything is moving along just fine. So green means you're good to go. This is that area of the crash I was just showing you, and that's eastbound I-70. I-70 onto Rural Street, Keystone Avenue. But as we just saw, it has cleared up, so no problems for your morning commute if you're heading out the door.
Elena, thank you. The official campaign is over, but it's not too late to keep Ann dancing. The Indianapolis Cultural Trail is still collecting donations to fund repairs and renovations to the landmark art installation on Mass Ave known as Ann Dancing. According to the website, the campaign to raise $262,000 is at 75% of its goal at this hour. But organizers are still counting contributions. The total amount will be announced in the coming weeks. Today, Team USA is looking to secure their spot in the World Cup final. We're breaking down the big matchup with England this afternoon. That's coming up.
Only Ashley Home Store. This is home.
This morning, Team USA's women's team is getting set for a big matchup with a trip to the World Cup final on the line. The American team is fresh off their big win on Friday afternoon against host country France. Megan Rapinoe scored 2 goals to give the USA a 2-1 victory. Now Team USA turns its eyes to England in the semifinals. That game is set for today at 3 o'clock this afternoon. If the U.S. wins today, they will reach the finals of the World Cup for the 3rd tournament in a row. The Wimbledon tennis tournament is underway, and it looks more like March Madness with all of the upsets so far. The biggest news was Venus Williams being beaten by 15-year-old Coco Gauff. The American took down Williams in the opening day of the tournament in straight sets. Gauff is actually the first American woman to beat Venus at Wimbledon other than her sister Serena. Several other top-ranked women's tennis players also lost in the first round on Monday. The tournament continues this morning from London. The NBA season feels like it just ended, but the work to get ready for next season is already well underway for the Indiana Pacers. This morning, the team is preparing for the Las Vegas Summer League. The Summer League is a chance for the Pacers to get a look at their new draft picks along with other young players. Today, the team will practice here in Indianapolis before making the trip out west. The first game of the Las Vegas Summer League is this Saturday when the Pacers take on the Memphis Grizzlies. It is 6:26 right now, and here at home we have got a hot day ahead of us. A good day to drink plenty of water. Make sure you have sunscreen on. If you do have to be outdoors, just be as careful and cautious as possible.
Yeah,
Todd.
you know, limit your time outdoors. Don't go out for an hour-long run at 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Wait till the sun starts to set, or do it this morning here where temperatures are a little bit cooler, because the heat sneaks up on you. They call it the silent killer because you don't really realize it. You get dehydrated. The heart starts to work a little harder. 74 degrees right now in Indianapolis, 78 in Muncie, 72 in Zionsville. Beautiful sunrise, high temperatures today going into the low 90s with just the chance of an isolated storm. But when you factor in the humidity, it's going to feel closer to 100 degrees during the peak heating of the day. The time now is 6:27. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Have the meat for sandwiches.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Now at 6:30, big changes at Eagle Creek, and now boaters say it's causing problems. Coming up, a live report on the reason some people are now avoiding the reservoir. And counterfeit e-cigarette products are making their way onto store shelves. The dangers federal officials say the phony products could pose. It is 6:30 here on your Tuesday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Meredith Barrick. Meteorologist Todd Clausen here, and the mercury continues to rise this morning, Todd.
Yeah, you know, temperatures have been in the 90s since Saturday. Saturday was the first day of this year that we got into the 90s, and we've been there every day since, and today is no exception. The difference today is a lot more in the way of humidity will be around. Here's a live look from downtown to the north, and yesterday when I showed you this view, you could really see way off into the distance. Today, as you look to the north, you notice a little more in the way of the haze out there, and that is the humidity or the moisture that's present in the lower levels of the atmosphere. So it's a lot more muggy when you walk out the door if you haven't done so already this morning. 78 in Muncie, 73 in Martinsville, 74 is the current temperature in Indianapolis. Skies are partly cloudy. The main storms are to our north, but an isolated storm or two is possible throughout the course of the day today. Now, a heat advisory is in place to the north. Whether you're in the advisory or not, it is going to be a hot one out there as we work our way throughout the morning hours. Look what happens to the temperatures. We'll climb all the way to 87 degrees already by the noon hour. And keep in mind, these are actual temperatures that I'm showing you. The actual high gets up to 92 later on this afternoon as we build in that isolated storm threat. But when you factor in the humidity, which again is way up compared to the past few days, Elena, it's going to feel closer to 95 to 100 degrees during the afternoon hours.
All right, thank you, Todd. Not much happening on our roads right now. We had an earlier crash, but the good news is it has cleared up. We have this area blocked off, though. Central Avenue at 37th Street, so just pay attention to that if it is part of your drive. Let's take a look at the roads right now. You can see the conditions are dry and traffic is moving along just fine. This is I-65 at 21st Street over on that west side. So as you're making your way out the door, should be a breeze.
Elena, thank you. Breaking overnight, firefighters are still looking into 2 fires that happened within blocks of each other on the city's north side. The first fire started near 18th and North Talbot. 3 people were home when the fire started, including a baby. The homeowners were able to put much of the fire out with a garden hose. Then 20 minutes later, IFD says passengers inside an Uber that took a wrong turn spotted a fire at North Pennsylvania and Charlotte Place. 5 people were inside that duplex. No injuries were reported in either fire. We're told investigators questioned a man identified by neighbors as a person of interest. Eagle Creek Reservoir may have a few less boaters this season. This after a change in how park rangers are enforcing one specific rule. Our Alyssa Donovan is live at Eagle Creek this morning. Alyssa, boaters say the rules have not changed for decades, but now some of their watercrafts aren't allowed in the reservoir.
That's right, Meredith. So the city ordinance says that boats with 10 horsepower motors or larger are not allowed on Eagle Creek. However, over the past few years, boaters have been allowed to attach a smaller kicker motor to those large boats in order to comply with that rule. But this year, they've been told they can't have their large boats on the water at all, which is very frustrating for them. We spoke with several boaters who have been launching their large boats with the large motors to Eagle Creek for more than 40 years. They've been allowed to use these large boats as long as they didn't use those motors. The rule is posted around the waterway, but boaters say now the way the rule is interpreted has recently changed.
They would not allow me on the lake Thursday. The park ranger said if I put on the lake, they would arrest me and confiscate my boat and trailer.
Now, the Department of Natural Resources released a statement saying it's concerned because if boats are not on the water, the state could lose revenue on fishing license. Another frustration for these boaters is just how much money they've invested in these rules in terms of buying these smaller kicker motors to comply with what they thought was the rules. They say those kicker motors cost anywhere between $1,500 and $2,000, so not being able to use their boats at all here is incredibly frustrating. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. A warning if you use e-cigarettes. RTV6 has learned counterfeiting is a problem when it comes to e-cigarette products, which could make it even harder for users to tell exactly what they're inhaling. Customs and Border Patrol officers seized more than 1,100 counterfeit Juul pods in April in Philadelphia, worth around $5 grand. A spokesman says counterfeit products pose an even greater danger to consumers because there is no way to verify the product's ingredients. The director of Indiana's Department of Child Services is responding to a class action lawsuit filed by a group of foster children with disabilities. Call 6 Investigates broke the story last week. In the suit, the children say the state fails to protect its most vulnerable children. DCS Director Terry Stigdon calls the lawsuit misleading and puzzling. Stigdon points to the number of improvements the agency has made, including more manageable caseloads for family case managers.
Put frankly, DCS is simply not the agency it used to be. And continuing to rely on an outdated, inflammatory account is misleading and harmful to children and their families. The child welfare system is far from perfect, but Indiana is steadfastly moving in the right direction.
Stigdon says despite a 20% increase in calls to the child abuse and neglect hotline since 2015, the agency answers calls within 15 seconds on average. South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg updating residents on the discussion to improve relations between police and the community. Buttigieg says the process to create a fair and impartial police department has been going on for years. But recently, he's asked the Department of Justice to step in to assist in the process. Buttigieg says he plans on allowing the public to give input on department policies. The mayor also says the police department has not reached recruiting goals that reflect the South Bend community. Pete Buttigieg had a big second quarter of the year when it comes to fundraising money for his presidential campaign. Buttigieg raised $24.8 million between April and the end of June. That's more than triple the amount his campaign raised in the first quarter. Buttigieg might need that money now more than ever because the latest Democratic presidential poll says the mayor is slipping a notch. The CNN poll is the first national poll taken after last week's first round of presidential debates. It showed a huge jump for California Senator Kamala Harris and a big drop for former Vice President Joe Biden. It followed their clash over Biden's past opposition to busing programs that helped end school desegregation. Buttigieg is now in 5th place in the latest poll at just 4%. It is 6:37, and Todd, this forecast today might have this next dog all shook up.
Well, I don't know. Michelle writes in that Elvis likes the heat.
Okay.
So, Elvis, that's why I picked you here today, because today is your day. And look at that cute face there, his tongue wagging. Drink plenty of water, though, Elvis, today, and any other dogs out there, as well as you human owners, as well as you will certainly need it. And thanks to Michelle for sending Elvis in. And you can send your pictures to my Facebook page, Todd Clausen, RTV6. And we'll get your favorite pet on the air. I have a bunch in the queue here, but we'll get to it eventually. So we'll give you green paws here this morning, starting in the 70s, working through the 80s through the noon hour, and then red paws this afternoon. Try to limit your time outdoors for you and your pet with a high temperature of 92 degrees, but the humidity is going to be really, really high today, and that's the big difference compared to the past few days when we've been in the 90s as well. Yesterday, we were kind of in that comfortable to getting sticky range. Well, today, we're basically in that instant sweat category. Heat index values all the way up close to 100 degrees, so drink plenty of water, and again, try to limit your time outdoors if possible throughout the day today.
Todd, thank you. Disturbing posts, and they are coming from the people charged with securing the border and dealing with immigrants. Next on RTV6, the secret Facebook group exposed in a new report. And chances are you'll be traveling for the 4th of July holiday. Working for you, we're breaking down what you can expect if you plan on hitting the highway. It's 6:39. We'll be right back after the break.
Kroger, Kings Island. It's amazing in here.
This morning, Customs and Border Protection is investigating what it calls disturbing posts made by Border Patrol agents on social media. ProPublica published the vulgar and threatening posts after the nonprofit found a secret group on Facebook. The group says it's for current and former Border Patrol agents and has around 9,500 members. One thread mocks the image of a drowned man and his young daughter that was widely circulated last week. Other posts include graphic images suggesting sexual and physical violence against members of Congress. New this morning, Nike says it will pull a sneaker that featured a late 18th century version of the American flag. The Wall Street Journal reports that Nike pulled back its Air Max 1 Quick Strike 4th of July shoe following objections from one of its endorsers, former quarterback Colin Kaepernick. The Journal says Kaepernick told Nike the flag was connected to an era of slavery in the U.S. The NAACP also says some white supremacist groups have co-opted the flag with 13 stars that represented the 13 original colonies and states. As we prepare to celebrate the 4th of July, it will be a busy time for the travel industry as always. Crunching the numbers, our Aaron Lish joins us live with what you need to know before you hit the road. Is traffic picking up out there, Aaron?
Actually, looking at it right now, it's not too bad, but it will be soon as many people are planning to do their Independence getaway. About 49 million people are planning to do the same. A bunch of them are planning to go onto the roadways, AAA predicting record-breaking numbers. About 41 million people are planning on driving, and a big reason why is because more people are doing this because gas prices are lower now than compared to this last year. Something to note, tomorrow is predicted to be the worst day on the roads, and AAA is expecting nationwide for delays to go up by 9%. In major cities, you can see delays 4 times as much as a normal drive. And just to give you an idea, on Friday between 1 and 3 in Chicago, traffic is expected to be twice as much as normal. But the good news is this weekend, when you're heading back or just driving around here in the Circle City, there will be no interstate construction. So that wouldn't impact your drive. Meredith, back to you.
Aaron, thank you. Health officials are urging you to take extra precautions this year to protect yourself after mosquitoes in 2 Indiana counties have already tested positive for West Nile virus. The Indiana State Department of Health says mosquitoes in Elkhart and Clark counties have tested positive for the virus as of today. Indiana health officials haven't found any human cases of West Nile virus so far in 2019. However, the health department expects increased West Nile activity throughout the state as the season continues. And we are working for you with what you need to know to avoid mosquitoes. Don't stay outdoors long when mosquitoes are active, which is late afternoon, dusk to dawn, and early morning. Apply an EPA-registered insect repellent containing DEET. Cover exposed skin by wearing a hat, long sleeves, and long pants in places where mosquitoes are especially active, such as wooded areas. Install or repair screens on windows and doors to keep mosquitoes out of your home. And something a lot of people will be doing today is keeping that AC cranking, Todd.
Yeah, it'll be running basically probably throughout the entire day. It's not going to get much of a break here throughout the day today. And if you don't have air conditioning, there's a lot of public places you can do that. Do have air conditioned libraries. You can go to the mall, hang out in there for a little while just to kind of stay cool through the peak heating of the day. And during the afternoon hours, we're looking at heat index today right around 95 to 100 degrees. Those are going to be the real field temperatures for you with the hazy, hot, and humid conditions across the area. And as you look from downtown to the north, you can see the haze that we have out there. Yesterday, we had that bright blue sky, and you could see well off into the distance because we didn't have the humidity around or that haze. So things have changed a little bit, and the dew point's up right around 70 degrees with an actual temperature of 74. So whenever the dew point's at 70 degrees, that's when it's starting to get uncomfortable and that tropical-like feel. And look what happens throughout the day today. That dew point really doesn't move. We stay in the low 70s from start to finish throughout the day today. So the humidity is not going to change. As the temperatures go up, that's when we're going to start to get into those heat index values that'll be close to 100 degrees this afternoon. 71 in Greencastle, 78 in Muncie right now, 74 is the current temperature as you work your way into the Tipton area. And throughout the day today, we'll have partly cloudy skies with the hazy sunshine. We'll build in the threat of an isolated storm or two later on this afternoon with an actual high temperature of 92 degrees. So here's where we stand right now. This morning, you notice just a few high, thin clouds out there. The sun should burn that off pretty quickly now that it's getting higher above the horizon. The storm track is to our north. All these storms are running right along the periphery of this hot air that's in place. So it's a wet morning from Green Bay into northern Michigan. If your travel plans take you up to Michigan, I know a lot of people head to northern Michigan. It's going to be a pretty wet pattern there, it looks like, all the way into the holiday weekend. As that storm track stays to our north, we just have these isolated storms really that are going to be flaring up in the peak heating of the day. So today they're very, very spotty, very similar to yesterday. Don't cancel any of your plans because of the storms in the forecast today. It's a downpour, maybe a little bit of lightning, no severe weather, and that is just about it. And they fade soon as the sun starts to set. Going forward in this forecast, we do start to build in more what I'll call widespread storms as we work our way into the 4th of July and then beyond. So there's a lot of dry hours for your holiday forecast as well. Your noontime temperature on the 4th of July, 84 degrees, 87's the high, maybe 88 degrees. So it's still warm, it's still muggy. And then as soon as the sun sets, we should start to lose some of these storms on the 4th of July. So that is good news for any firework plans. So again, as I go over to the 7-day planning forecast and I show you the days ahead, not only on the 4th of July, but into the rest of the holiday weekend, you see the storms and you think, oh no, it's going to be a washout. Not the case. Lots of dry hours, lots of hazy sunshine in there. there, but there will just be the threat, especially again during the peak heating of the day, for some of these storms to flare up, and high temperatures still well above normal. We may not get to the 90s, but we're still in the upper 80s for your afternoon highs. Elena?
All right, thank you, Todd. Not too much happening on our roadways right now. As Aaron showed you behind her, traffic's moving along just fine. We do have this closure, though, Central Avenue blocked at 37th Street, and that's because police are conducting an investigation. So just keep this in mind if it's part of your drive. It's this morning downtown. You can see that yellow down there. Might be a little bit of congestion on Meridian Street. A lot of construction underway on that road right now. Let's take a look at the roads right now on our live in traffic camera. I-65 at South Split. You can see traffic's flowing along just fine for your morning drive, and those roads are dry. Couldn't ask for a better commute.
Elena, thank you. Hiring Hoosiers is our initiative connecting you to jobs, training, education, and other resources. A Central Indiana Police Department is looking for new recruits. Kokomo Police is accepting applications through September 9th. Some of the requirements include U.S. and Howard County residency, no felony convictions, and you must be between the ages of 21 and 35 years old. There are different age requirements for veterans. For more information and to apply, you can head to cityofkokomo.org. 2 fires happening overnight on the northeast side, and next on Good Morning Indiana, what we know about the fires and whether or not they're suspicious. That's coming up.
Weekdays at 9 on RTV6. This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. It is 6:52. I'm Meredith Barrick. We are working for you this Tuesday morning. We have all your top stories covered, and Elena Martella is keeping a close eye on traffic. We do want to start things off with meteorologist Todd Clausen and another hot and humid day. Hey, Todd.
Yeah, and that is the weather headline. There is a heat advisory for northern Indiana that's in place. We'll have to wait to see if the Weather Service in Indianapolis issues that heat advisory. Whether they do or not, it is going to be a hot and humid day for you. You see that haze out there with lots of sunshine, and throughout the morning hours, we'll see these temperatures warm very, very quickly. We're in the 70s already this morning. We should be around 80 degrees by 8 a.m. and then high temperatures this afternoon will be topping off in the low 90s. When you factor in that humidity, though, 92 is going to feel closer to 100 degrees out there, and with the chance of just an isolated storm flaring up. But by far the bigger weather story is not the thunderstorm chances. It will be the heat and the humidity throughout the afternoon hours.
Todd, thank you. Right now, police are investigating a shooting on the city's north side, leaving a woman critically injured. This happened just after 5:30 this morning at a home near 37th and Central. Police tell us they found the woman with a gunshot wound after responding to a call of a person down at the home. The woman was taken to the hospital and is in critical condition. Officers tell us they are questioning people in the area as they search for suspects. We are also following breaking news from overnight, where firefighters are still looking into 2 fires that happened within blocks of each other on the city's northeast side. The first fire started near 18th and North Talbot. 3 people were home, and they put out much of the fire with a garden hose. Then, just 20 minutes later, firefighters were called to a duplex fire at North Pennsylvania and Charlotte Place. No injuries were reported in either fire. Alyssa.
Boaters who use Eagle Creek Reservoir say they're frustrated with how rules are being interpreted. They say in the past, they've been able to use their boats that have a 10-horsepower motor attached to them as long as they didn't use that motor out on the water. A lot of these boaters attach smaller motors that they would use when they're out here. Now, boaters with large motors are told they cannot be on the water at all. Indy Park says the city ordinance states that there is a ban on boats with 10-horsepower motors and that the rule is just being enforced.
Alyssa, thank you. The director of Indiana's Department of Child Services is responding to a class action lawsuit filed by a group of foster children with disabilities. Call 6 Investigates broke the story last week. In the suit, the children say the state fails to protect its most vulnerable children. DCS Director Terry Stignan calls the lawsuit misleading and puzzling. A new biking and walking path is coming to the northeast side, even though a city councilor and several neighbors say it is a waste of money. The Johnson Road Trail project will connect the 71st Street Trail and Fall Creek Greenway. One council member says the project shows the city has skewed priorities when it comes to spending money on infrastructure while ignoring bigger issues like potholes. Aaron.
As we see traffic pick up this morning, we're going to see a lot more of it heading into this holiday weekend. So AAA is predicting record-breaking numbers, including 41 million people hitting the roads for the 4th of July. And it's expected that delays will go up by about 9% nationwide. But in some spots, there will be 4 times the traffic you normally see. So try to head out today if possible, since tomorrow, AAA is saying, will be the worst day for driving. Good news is, this weekend when you head back, there will not be any interstate construction here in the Circle City. Meredith?
Erin, thank you. Some good news to share this morning. A priceless item that was once lost is now found. Cheryl Brown reached out to RTV6 to let us know someone found an urn containing her son's ashes. That urn went missing last week while Brown was running errands. Health officials are urging you to take extra precaution this year to protect yourself after mosquitoes in 2 Indiana counties tested positive for West Nile virus. The Indiana State Department of Health says mosquitoes in Elkhart and Clark counties have tested positive for the virus as of today. So far, no people have gotten sick from the virus. Elena.
And as you're hitting the roads this morning, not too much happening out there right now. The good news, traffic flowing just fine. We do have a little bit of police activity Central Avenue at 37th Street, so keep it in mind if it's part of your drive.
It's a warm morning for us with temperatures already in the mid-70s. It's very muggy as well. We're looking at a high of 92 later on this afternoon with just a chance of an isolated storm. But the big difference is today compared to the past few days that have also been in the 90s. The humidity is a lot higher today, so that 92 is going to feel more like 95 to 100 degrees. Tomorrow, very similar to today. Just the chance of a spot storm in the afternoon, a high of 90 degrees, still pretty muggy. And then temperatures are in the upper 80s for the 4th of July. And through the weekend, so it's a warm holiday for us with partly cloudy skies and the chance daily of storms as we head through the holiday weekend. It is not a washout, but there will probably be some times where you have to maybe alter those plans.
All right, Todd, thank you, and thank you for joining us. We're back in 25 minutes. Have a great rest of your Tuesday.